You've worked hard your whole life. You've raised a family, built a career, showed up every day for decades. And then one day you stop. And for the first few weeks, maybe months, it feels amazing. No alarm clock, no meetings, no boss. You sleep in. You tackle projects around the house. You might even play golf. But then there's a morning. You wake up and you think, what now? Nobody warns you about that question. Nobody tells you that retirement isn't just about money. It's about meaning, about identity, about having a reason to get out of bed that feels bigger than just passing the time. Now here's something that stopped me cold when I first read it. The New York Times did a study, and they found that only 25% of people actually know what their life purpose is. That's only 1 in 4. That means that 75% of the rest of us, 3 out of every 4, are wandering through life unsure why we're even here on this earth, going through the motions, waiting for something to click. And here's where most of us get it wrong. When we're looking for our purpose, we start with the why. Why am I here? What's my purpose? What's the big answer? But I've learnt something that's changed everything for me. You don't start with the why, you end with the why. The first thing we need to do is shift our entire perspective. And that was hard for me. When I retired, I looked inward. What do I want? What would make me feel useful? What would give my life meaning? And the more I looked inward, the more I lost I felt. Because here's the truth. Purpose doesn't come from staring at yourself in the mirror. Purpose comes from turning your attention outward, toward other people, toward what they need. A researcher named Carney put it this way. When we serve others, our brain releases neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin. He calls it the helper's high. It's a real physical response. The brain literally is wired to find the meaning through service. So the first shift is this. Stop asking what will make me feel purposeful. Start asking who can I help. That one question changes everything. Once you have an honest grip on that, we need to get practical. And that brings me to 3 questions. Alright, here's the framework that made everything click for me. The 3 questions, simple but powerful. Question 1. Who am I called to serve? And don't overthink this. In my case, I'm called to serve the people like me, people over 60, who are navigating retirement without a roadmap, people who feel invisible, people who are wondering if their best years are behind them. I know what that feels like. I've lived it, so I can speak to it. For you, what do you understand? Because you've walked the same road. A single parent, someone rebuilding after financial setback, someone facing health diagnosis, someone just trying to figure out what's next. Start with people you relate to based on your own life experiences. You already have the credentials. They're written in everything you've been through. Alternatively, maybe your local retirement home needs volunteers to help out. There are lots of organisations needing volunteers with all manner of skills. Question 2. What problems am I called to solve? This is where it gets practical. Every person you've called to serve has a problem, something that keeps them back, something they're struggling with. Your ability to solve specific problems for specific people, that's where meaning lives. And I'll be honest, it's also where income can live too, if you decide to go in that direction. What do you know how to fix? What have you learned the hard way that you can now help others to avoid? What skills did you build over the 40 years that someone else desperately needs? How can I best help in a volunteer role? Question 3. How am I called to solve this problem? This is about method. Maybe it's the neighbour who is lonely. Maybe it's a younger person who could use some guidance. Maybe it's a community organisation that's desperate for volunteers. Maybe it's just about being more present for your partner and your friends. In my case, these videos, talking to you. And I'll be honest, when I started, I had no idea if anyone would ever watch them. I still don't always know. The method doesn't matter as much as the fit. What feels natural to you? What do you actually enjoy doing? Don't pick the method that feels impressive. Pick the one that you'll actually show up for. Now here's where it all comes together. These 3 questions give you a purpose statement, and here's the formula. I help who with their problem through solution. Let me give you mine. I help people over 60 find purpose and direction through honest conversations on YouTube. That's it. 1 sentence. It didn't arrive as a lightning bolt. I built it, 1 question at a time. Let your imagination go. Write down your answers to these 3 questions. It's called brainstorming for a reason. Don't judge it yet, just write it down. Now I want to come back to something I mentioned earlier, the helper's high. When I first heard about this, I was a wee bit sceptical. Sounded like one of those nice ideas that isn't actually true. But the science is solid. When you serve someone, when you genuinely help another person, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine is the reward chemical. Oxytocin is the bonding chemical. Together they create a feeling that's actually more substantially high. Together they create a feeling that's actually more substantial than the dopamine hit you get from buying something or eating something good. And here's what matters for us. That chemical response doesn't care how old you are. Your brain is still capable of producing these feelings. The mechanism still works, but you have to activate it. And the activation switch is service. This is why I keep coming back to this chair. Every time someone leaves a comment saying, Stephen, this helped me. That's not just a nice to hear. It's my brain getting what it's designed to get. Connection, usefulness, and meaning. You can have the same thing, but you have to put yourself in a position to serve. Waiting for purpose to find you doesn't work. Service finds you when you go looking for someone to help. And now we get to the why. And notice I said validate with your why, not start with it. Once you've defined your who, what, and how, once you have that purpose statement, then ask why. The why does matter to me. Why do I care about these people and this problem? Carney suggests that true purpose comes from serving your creator by serving others. And I believe that. But even if you don't share that belief, the principle still holds. Purpose that lasts is purpose connected to something bigger than yourself. And here's how you know you've found it. 3 indicators. I call them the 3 P's. Peace. When you're doing what you're meant to, there's a quiet settledness, not excitement, peace. Passion. Not just the kind that burns out in a week, the kind that keeps you showing up, the kind that makes you forget to eat lunch because you're so engaged in what you're doing. And third one, profitability. And I don't mean just money. I mean fruit. You see the results. You help someone and they actually do change. You teach someone something and they actually learn it. There's evidence that what you're doing is working. And if you have all these 3, peace, passion and profitability, you've probably found it. If you're missing one, it doesn't mean you're on the wrong track. It means you need to adjust. Maybe the who is right, but the how is wrong. Maybe the method needs to change. But don't abandon the ship just because it's not perfect yet. Purpose is built, not found. Here's what I need you to understand. Purpose is not a one-time discovery. It's a daily practice. You have a day where nothing feels meaningful, where you wonder if this even matters, where the voice in your head says, you're just filling time. Who do you think you are, trying to help anyone anyway? I've been there, more than once, and what I learnt is that the spiral I've talked about before, it applies to purpose too. You have a bad day, so you stop showing up, you skip the group, you then stop calling people, and before you know it, you've lost weeks, months to that feeling. The 3 questions don't expire. The helper's high doesn't run out. The 3 P's are still there, waiting for you to return. Start small. Start today. Answer the 3 questions. Help one person. Show up one time. Try something that scares you. Volunteer to help an organisation. Be useful to somebody. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Retirement isn't the end of your useful life. It's a chance to finally focus on what matters. Not because someone's paying you, but because it's worth doing. Because someone needs what you have to offer. And if you don't know your purpose yet, you're in good company. 75% of the people are in the same boat. But you now have the 3 questions. You have the framework. You have the formula. I help who? With their problem through solution. Write it down. Try it out. Let it evolve. Try something that scares you just a little and stay more useful to people. This is the 3rd video in the series Use It or Lose It. If you haven't seen the others, the first one is about keeping your body moving. The second is about keeping your brain sharp. And this is the one that makes the other 2 worth doing. You'll find the links to the other 2 in the description. For now, you let me know in the comments below who you are called to serve and what problems can you solve. I read all the comments and I'd be genuinely interested to know what you come up with. Until next time, have a great day.